It all started back in high school. I was in the kitchen with my dad, and he said, someday I want to go to Africa and climb Kilimanjaro. And my dad had been a runner for many years and was very athletic. And you know, I love my dad dearly, and I said, someday I'll go with you. And then I, moved away to Colorado.
Fast forward to 1993, and those long talks with her father around the kitchen table become a reality.
We met in Africa and climbed Kilimanjaro together and summited on his 61st birthday. So that was the start of it.
And that was just the beginning. Following Kilimanjaro, Lori climbed to the top of Aconcagua in Argentina, South America, Mira Peak in Nepal, Asia, and Mount Elbrus in Russia, Europe's ultimate peak. With 4 successful summits, Lori has her eyes focused on Alaska, planning to stand atop Denali, North America's highest point. Taking in the view from the world's most dramatic vantage points is both exhilarating and rewarding, but demands a strong work ethic and unwavering mental toughness.
Actually, when I first started training here at Ashwa Bay, before the ski area opened for the season, I was going from the base of the ski area to the top and then back down and up each of the slopes. And I thought if I did that, several times in a row, I could get 1,000-foot elevation gain in one day. So I was trying to get in at least 1,000 feet, every time I came out here. You have to be just as emotionally and mentally strong as you do physically. That's what gets you to the top. Your legs only get you so far. It's your mindset that gets you over the hump.
And that attitude separates Lori Schneider from the others in the climbing community.
In January of 1999, I woke up one morning and half of my body, literally half of my body, was numb. And I had been training really hard for the Aconcagua climb and running probably 8 miles a day and lifting weights several times a week, and I was overtraining a little bit, and I was having trouble with my arch. And I had just been in to have a cortisone shot in my arch. And 4 days later, I woke up with this numbness, and I thought, well, maybe they hit a nerve. I don't know what they did, but, I had just like pins and needles on one side. And so I went into the doctor, and they said, well, we don't know what it is. If it's still there tomorrow, come back to the emergency room, and we'll do some checking, and it was still there. So after many spinal taps, 4 spinal taps, and a couple of brain MRIs, and lots of tests for cancer and different things, they finally realized that they actually had missed it on the very first test that they'd done, that I had tested positive for multiple sclerosis. With MS, every case is different, and you do what your body is capable of, and for me it had always been being active, and I thought, well, I needed to prove to myself that this didn't define me. It scared me so badly, and I wouldn't talk about it. It took me a year before I told anyone. I needed to prove to myself that this was not who I was. MS is not who I am. Lori Schneider is who I am, and it's in here. It's not about how high you climb here. It's what you've got inside, and it's the depth that you bring to whatever it is you do, whether it's climbing or dancing or singing or your job. It's doing it with your heart, and I think I rediscovered mine on that climb, and that there was more to me than just what this may or may not do to my body down the road. I feel like the label of MS was a real gift to me because it got me thinking outside of the world as I knew it, and let me explore possibilities more, and do what you can when you can.
And tomorrow, with ice axe in hand, Lori begins her journey to America's last frontier, attempting to see the world's landscape 20,320 feet above sea level, atop Denali.
This is definitely the most extreme weather-wise that I'll have ever experienced, unless we're lucky to get some balmy days, but that's not the typical Denali experience. The quickest we could get to the top if the weather was perfect would be in about 15 days, and then 2 days to get back down. Most dangerous part, in Denali especially, but any climb is going back down. You're so tired, you're excited to get back down, you make dumb mistakes, you go too quickly, you slip a lot. It's like getting up is optional, getting down is mandatory.
Although Lori hopes to see the summit of Denali, the success of her expeditions is not measured in the mountaintops reached, but in the countless steps of life she faces every day.
It's the journey. It's always the journey, and that's what I love about it. I love spending hours on end with nobody but myself, my mind, my thoughts, and just kind of purifying.
And the journey continues on. MS is not going to stop Lori from living out her dreams.
It was life-altering in a very, very positive way. What I saw as the most negative thing in my life ended up being the most positive thing. Really?
As Lori prepares for the most challenging climb of her life, she reflects on her last successful ascent to the top of Europe's Mount Elbrus, following the death of her mother and diagnosis of MS.
It was a very emotional climb, and it kind of put the whole element of climbing on a different layer. I mean, on one level, climbing is just this great adventure, and it's an adrenaline rush, and on another level it was kind of my victory in my mind over MS, but on really the deepest level I think it was just a way to say goodbye to my mom and to honor her too with that climb. And I remember getting to the top and yelling, "Goodbye, Mom," and flooding with tears, and just kind of dealing with a lot of hurt and pain that I think had been building up with her death and with the MS and, all the scars in your life that you someday have to let go of.